really the excitement around it all, how instant it was. You're in bed on a Sunday, all of a sudden you're queuing with loads of fans for Foo Fighters tickets, and then you're at the Foo Fighters.
Welcome back to Foos Files, the podcast for fans of the Foo Fighters. It's Dan here. Hope you're all doing well. And I think it's fair to say the UK and Ireland are going through a mini burst of Foo Fighters mania this week. We had the pop-up show in Dublin on Monday. We've got London tonight and then Manchester on Friday. I'm extremely jealous of all the people who were able to drop everything on Sunday and dash to their nearest box office in one of those three cities. Sadly, I live 2 hours away from both London and Manchester, so when the news came out at about, I think it was around 11 a.m, I was in the supermarket, went into meltdown and just knew, yep, I've got absolutely no chance, but fair play to everybody who did. And we're going to be bringing you the reaction to all of the shows, starting with Dublin today when we speak to Derrick. And there's been lots of other stuff going on, hasn't there? Because, as I alluded to in the bonus episode last week when Dave spoke to Zane Lowe, they've kind of hit the media trail again. Been over to the UK and done the Graham Norton show. They've been on several radio stations, addressed quite a lot of key points. Now, I'm not going to unpack all of that on here because there was so much, particularly regarding the new album and the process of doing it at home. Great to hear from Ilan Rubin too, who was, after Dave, probably the most vocal of the other band members throughout those media interviews. So if you haven't listened to any of those interviews yet or caught up with what was discussed, then what I have done is put together a comprehensive summary over on the Foos Files Substack account. So the latest post on there gives you, it's about 2,500 words. And yes, I did sit and listen to every single one of them to pick out the highlights. But there's some really good stuff in there. As I said, great to hear from not just Dave, but all of the band members too, apart from Pat, obviously. Although Dave did say Pat's doing great and should be back with them for the upcoming tour. So that's good news as well. So what else has happened? Well, the band left the UK and flew just across the water to Ireland, where they went to Dingle, which is a very small town in County Kerry, to play in a church of all places, St James's Church. We believe there are less than 80 people there. And that was for a TV show called Other Voices. Now, we don't know when it's going to be broadcast because they're not on the schedule for the new series yet. But there was a couple of very interesting revelations from that show. It was only a 12-song set. But as well as Your Favourite Toy, they dropped another new one, Of All People, which they then played again in Dublin on Monday. So that's another new track that's starting to emerge from the forthcoming album. And secondly, which has really got tongues wagging in the Foo community, is that they open the set with A320, the song, of course, which is from the Godzilla soundtrack. And it's probably fair to say one of the most in-demand deep cuts from hardcore Foo Fighters fans. It was the first time A320's been played since 2000 and only the fifth time it's been played live in total. Props to our friends at Foo Fighters Live, the ultimate Foo Fighters fact-checkers for that. So we'll keep an eye out for that one. Other Voices, the Foo Fighters 12-song set, which we'd imagine will probably be broadcast around the time that the album comes out. So all of that brings us on nicely to Monday night when they played the Academy in Dublin, the first of the three pop-up shows that they're doing in the UK and Ireland this week. So we'll welcome to the podcast Derrick, one of the very lucky fans who was in attendance.
What the fuck are we doing here? I know what we're doing here. We haven't played in a really long time, and we haven't played here in a really fucking long time. We've got a lot of memories from this place. But if I start talking, we'll be here all the fucking night. Who's got to work tomorrow? Sorry. Me too.
Derrick, great to have you on to talk about the show in Dublin on Monday. First of all, do you just want to give us a quick version of like your Foo Fighters history in terms of being a fan of the band?
Yeah, quick, I don't know. Probably when I was about started getting into kind of rock music when I was about 14, 15. Would have been around the time of There's Not Left of Clues coming out. And I remember seeing the Learn to Fly video on MTV, and I kind of got hooked in then. And then got my first electric guitar and all that, started learning all the songs. Breakout came out, and then kind of started working as well at the same time. So I was getting money. And then I think the first time I got to see them was probably in 2002. So they were playing a festival called Witness, which in Ireland, which is now called or was called Oxygen after that. But they were playing. It was like the main stage was like Green Day, Foo Fighters, Prodigy. So we had tickets for the Saturday for that, and then they'd been practicing in Dublin all week in a really small theater called the Ambassador, and they announced the secret gig at that one as well, and you could only win tickets by going to Tower Records and answering questions about the band. And I, being a big fan, knew loads of questions, so I brought all my mates from school, and I ended up leaving Tower Records with like 8 tickets, and all we were like, so did all my mates, and we were like handing them around mates and family and everything like that. So we ended up on the barrier for that show, and then kind of that was the first time. Went to the Witness the next day, actually jumped the barrier at the end of Everlong and met the band then and everything. Then a year later was Slane, 2003, and went to a drum clinic the day before Slane. All the drummers were there, and we were walking through town and walked past the restaurant, and there with his back to me with a cap on in the window of this restaurant. I was like, that's Dave Grohl. My mate goes, what? And I was like, I just took a step back and I was like, there's Dave. And it was. So I ran into the restaurant like a fucking idiot and said hello. He was with Taylor and both their wives and Dave's mom as well. And he's like, dude, I didn't call you in or whatever. So we waited outside and chatted with them and met them then, got to sign the tickets and everything. And yeah, I've just been going to shows ever since. Probably I think that last night might have been my 10th or 11th. Because I went back to college in my mid 20s and didn't have the money to be traveling and stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of got back into it then, probably later, Wasting Light time maybe. It was between In Your Honor and Wasting Light. I didn't see them, and then got back into it then. And yeah, we had to go to the Taylor thing in Wembley there a few years back. The one you don't want to have to go to, but that was obviously amazing. And then this one came up, and I was like, I can't miss this. So I was like lying in bed beside my girlfriend, just happened to wake up probably about 5 to 10, and I was scrolling through Instagram, and my mate texted me at the exact same time, and I just saw the message, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, get up now, we're going. And we jumped in the car, and she chucked me out at the Olympia Theatre in Dublin where the tickets were on sale, and parked up, and then she got in as well. And I'd text another friend, and he managed to get in too. So there was a group of us that all got in, and yeah, it was pretty intense, pretty exciting. It was like a school kid again, you know.
Yeah, how many in the line do you reckon you were at this point then by the time you got there?
So so it was announced at 10 a.m. I saw it probably 20 past 10, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be too late by the time we get in. And I'd say I got there at 11, and I would say I was probably about half. I'd say there was about 200 people ahead of me, maybe. And there was probably, so they sat us down in the Olympia Theatre, and it was all seated at this point. It normally for gigs and all it's standing, but they had the rows in, and they had everyone as they came in, they were in order as they arrived. And I'd say there was about 6 or 7 rows in front of me with about 40 per row, maybe. So yeah.
So you were comfortably in then, really?
Yeah, but I was still really nervous because they didn't really tell you anything. They just gave you a wristband. They didn't want people queuing on the street, so which was the best way to do it in hindsight. But like you didn't know until they closed the doors and stopped letting people in. Then he goes, "If you're in here, you're guaranteed a ticket," and place goes mad. Everyone's mad excited, and yeah, it was pretty cool, I have to say.
Great stuff. Yeah, I think they pretty much sent the whole of the UK and Ireland into meltdown on Sunday. You know, people are out doing sort of family duties and shopping. I was in the supermarket, and I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, man! I'm 2 hours away from London. I'm 2 hours away from Manchester. I'm in the Midlands. I'm just not going to get to any of these places in time for tickets."
Yeah, I
So
did see
they
a lot
just
of
had it.
comments, online and from people like from down the country and stuff in Ireland. They're just like, "Oh, it's always Dublin and stuff." And I was like, "Well, they're hardly going to play in like Longford, are they?" So,
Yeah, they were in Dingle the night before though. There were
and
like about less than 80 people got into that one, I think.
yeah, that's it. So in Ireland, we have this thing called Other Voices. And it's filmed in this tiny church in Dingle. So it's a really kind of unique experience. It's on every year, and there's a little mini Other Voices festival, and it's mostly smaller bands to showcase them, but sometimes they do special things like that. So I wouldn't be shocked if, I mean, obviously it's going to get released. I think they usually do release these things for Other Voices, but I'd say they might use it for like a music video for that new song as well. So.
That's a good shout. But yeah, I mean, the set list for that was brilliant because they played A320, which is like, that's one of the most in demand deep cuts in terms of long time Foo Fighters fans, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember buying that Godzilla soundtrack when I found out about it, and I was just it's obviously a beautiful song, but when that distortion kicks in and it's just dirty, I love it. And it was on the set list last night, but I didn't play it, which was I could see the set list from where I was, and I was like, oh, please play it. And then it went from exhausted to everlong, so they just skipped over it, and I was like, oh no. But time constraints and all that jazz.
Yeah, exactly. So, what about what they did play then? How was the show for you on Monday night?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. Like, I mean, it was it was probably less deep cuts than I thought it would be, considering what I'd seen on the American set list for similar shows. But I mean, you got all the hits, and you got some stuff like, I mean, getting stacked actors back in there. I love it. I used to love when they played that live years back. Hearing Hey Johnny Park live again was probably the big one for me. Like, I grew up in the kind of the earlier Foo Fighters albums, so they're my favorite ones. The first three or four are kind of the ones that I'm really into. So yeah, getting exhausted was great as well. I was shouting at them to play Winnebago, go deep on it, but no, nothing happened there. Your man Jason said he was there going at me. He was like, I don't know it. So yeah, no, it's good. The set list was fantastic. It's great to hear a couple of new songs in there as well. It was like a throwback to that Ambassador show I mentioned earlier on. Like, that was before One by One came out, and it was actually the first time Times Like These and Low had ever been played live as well. So you're kind of like, you felt kind of privileged hearing these ones before anyone else had.
Yeah, what did you make of the new songs then? Because you've got, of all people, was second in the set, wasn't it? So what did you make it? Did he introduce it, or did they just kind of go
No,
into it and let everybody sort of absorb it and go, "Oh, hang on, this is another new one then"?
yeah, well, they opened with All My Life, and it was obviously, like All My Life is, heavy, loud, and then it kind of just went straight into it, and it's like, obviously it take you a few seconds to realize like, oh, this is something new. I don't know this one, because the crowd quietens down and starts to listen to that. Then, I definitely like the set. I'm hoping there's a video of it out there, because when you're there, you don't really take it all in, and hear the kind of intricacy of the song. But yeah, I'm hoping. I know someone was live streaming on TikTok or something, but so hopefully they got a video of that. But no, it sounded really good. Got some heavy parts. Um, I'd be honest, I wouldn't be a big massive fan of the your favorite toy song. I like it. It's not. I wouldn't be one. I'm not really sold on it. I would have liked to hear Asking for a Friend, because that's brilliant, to be honest. But
Yeah, it's still elusive, that one. They've played it once in Mexico and never
yeah,
again since, which is strange. But
it's strange considering, like, obviously we didn't know it was going to be on the album when they released it. It just seemed, because they did Today's Song as well, and that's not. So, um, but obviously Elon wasn't on that one. So yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Any other highlights from the gig?
Uh, I mean, the crowd was amazing. It was packed. Like, I go to a lot of concerts. Me and my mates, we have like a little gig group and stuff, and we're in that academy a lot. It's one of the smaller venues, and like, you couldn't move. It was wedged. I was sweating like crazy. It was just very intense, and you could just see how happy everyone was. It's cool to see So there's a guy who plays drums for Dermot Kennedy, and he's covered for uh, his name's Mihal. Can't remember his surname, but he covered in for, and so I watched it from afar on drums and stuff like that. And he was actually one of the people who auditioned for the drum part for the Foo Fighters, and he was there, and they spotted him, called him out, and everything. And they were like, that was cool to see. And yeah, they had all friends and family there and stuff as well. But yeah, I think the highlights of it all was just kind of the excitement around it all, how instant it was. You're in bed on a Sunday, all of a sudden you're queuing with loads of fans for Foo Fighters tickets, and then you're at the Foo Fighters. I was ready to bail on work. Like if they had done this on the Monday, I was like the tickets weren't saying on Monday. I was calling in sick, like that was happening. So yeah, but it's funny because, as I say, me and the friend group, we go to a lot of gigs, and we're going to the Anfield show later in the year. And we'd been caught. There's a bit of a gap in the thing. We are like, oh, maybe they'll do one of those secret gigs in Dublin. And then the Dingle pictures showed up, and we were like, oh crap, maybe it's going to happen here. And we literally only talking about it the day before, and I was saying it to other friends, and they're like, that probably won't happen. And then next thing they see on my Instagram stories, I'm in the Olympia queuing for tickets and stuff. So yeah, good fun.
Yeah, I think they've completely thrown everybody, to be honest with you, because I don't know why, because they were taping Graham Norton on Thursday night. Everybody was looking at Friday and Saturday, and they were going, oh, there's, I think it was Dingwalls in Camden. There's availability there on one of the nights, and they were looking at people, all the big cities in the UK. Everybody starts looking for gaps where there's availability at the small venues, and then sort of Friday comes and there's no gig, and Saturday comes and there's no gig,
Yeah,
and so everybody kind of assumes, that's it. Then they're gone. They're back to the States now. And then Sunday they just kind of dropped that bomb on us. So
yeah.
it was,
It was when in Dingle, when I saw it was in Dingle, I was like, obviously they're playing in the church. It's just so random to go from Graham Norton to there, like unannounced and stuff like that. It's really cool that they did it, and I think the great thing about all these gigs is kind of there's the unique merch and stuff like that as well. I've got this T-shirt which is specific to the show and everything, and they've got like these. I brought down these cool posters, like this foil poster, similar to the ones they had at Wembley.
yeah, that's really
Um,
cool.
it's like they're numbered. There's only 70 of them. Got a bit banged up, unfortunately, because the gig. But yeah, for some reason there was no cloakroom open. But anyway, no, it was just a really exciting few days, and I was like, I even on the Monday when I was going into work and I knew I was going, it still had that excitement and nearly nervousness. It's like, is this actually going to happen, kind of thing? Yeah, so a lot of fun, and I'm like just looking forward to Anfield now even more so now. So
Yeah, brilliant. Which night you going? Anfield? You going Thursday or Saturday?
this Saturday, yeah, we're going to
Same,
Saturday.
me too. I'm there on the Saturday. Yeah, so
It's kind. I would have liked to seen Oddabokey Beaver, but I don't care for Inhaler, to be honest. So I was like, just Spits are great, to be honest. The first cover band on the Saturday, or first support act on the Saturday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see them. Royal Otis might be a one to go to the bar for. I don't know.
I played lacrosse, which is an Americanized version of hurling. Is that what you call it? Hurling is some shit. I watched it on TV yesterday. That is some serious fucking shit. That I respect. That's cool.
Thank you very much to Derrick for sharing his experience of the Foo Fighters pop-up show at the Academy in Dublin on Monday. And if you are going to London or Manchester this week, you very lucky people, do get in touch, because we'll try to get a group together early next week to talk about those shows for next Wednesday's episode. Now, to finish off, following on from the quickfire episode I put out on Friday with some initial reaction to your favourite toy, I did ask for some fan comments about how you're feeling about the song, having had nearly a week to digest it, to listen to it over and over again. And some of our regular listeners, well, they didn't disappoint, did they? So just going to read a few out. You've got Amanda Howard, who, in response to me saying that it reminded me of Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, she said, I hear heavier Cheap Trick, and I love me some Cheap Trick. We've got Cheryl Feynman, who you've heard on the show before, good friend of the show, and she loves deep diving the lyrics of the Foo Fighters. She says, love everything about this direction, angst and grit, punky with a funky bounce, and the lyrics, They sure do have a cheeky vibe. I hear the message loud and clear and I'm here for it. Mia La Marina. It's already snuck its way into my head and I love the guitar intro and the driving beat. I think if folks actually pay attention to the lyrics, they'll hear Dave has something to say. Interesting. Shauna O'Hara says, so pumped for the new music, finally. And then Kim Hearn says, it's definitely become an earworm. Musically, to me, it sounds like Cloudspotter's punky cousin. So that's a small sample size, really, of what the Foo community is saying, but generally speaking, online, the reviews for Your Favourite Toy have been resoundingly positive, I think, anyway. So that's it this week for another episode of Foos Files. As I say, to anyone who's going to London tonight and Manchester on Friday, do have the best time. Can't wait to see the set list, can't wait to hear all about it, and to hopefully chat to some fans next week who were there. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening to Foos Files. If you want some more bonus content, I mentioned before, do check out the Substack. I always do a post sometime after the latest episode has come out, but this week, as I say, I went early to do a roundup of those media interviews, so there's plenty of extra content up there to get your Foo fix. Thanks for listening, take care, and we'll see you next time.